People didn't have time to really react with the only thing they could do was just grab whatever you could in seconds and run. And that's what thousands of people were doing while this wildfire was spreading throughout Lahaina town. 93 confirmed deaths due to this tragedy here on the island of Maui, or on the island of Maui. I'm speaking to you from Honolulu right now. Let us tell you that the recovery efforts are slow going. We talked to a couple of people, including the governor of the state of Hawaii, who was down there in Lahaina earlier today. He says that he had been down there. This is his second time down to ground zero. And he says that efforts are very, very slow. According to officials, only 3% of Lahaina has been gone through. And what I mean by gone through, this fire was so hot that it melted metal. It spread so fast because the winds were blowing 80 miles per hour as it came over the West Maui Mountains and started to sweep down towards Lahaina town. People didn't have time to really react with the only thing they could do was just grab whatever you could in seconds and run. And that's what thousands of people were doing while this wildfire was spreading throughout Lahaina town.
Now, Billy, there'll be some people perhaps who have been following this story as closely perhaps as they should, and they will wonder yet again, which was a kind of question I suppose we asked at the beginning, that in a country that has resources, that is not a poor country, how was this able to happen?
There are several ways to address your question, and I'll try to do them as best as I can. First of all, there's the weather component. If you're familiar with weather terminology, there was a high pressure system to the north of the islands and a hurricane that was passing to the south of the islands. And what this did is this kind of brought two different winds together and right over Lahaina. There were alerts from radio and TV stations that there was a fire alert for the state of Hawaii along coastlines, but no one could have anticipated this double threat of intense winds to be as much as it was.
But what about,
when it came down to the sirens and the emergency sirens, the governor just mentioned this today, that it happened so fast. And imagine, Lahaina was once the capital of the Hawaiian Islands back in the days of King Kamehameha III. This is back in the 1800s, a whaling town. So most of that town was constructed with wood back in the day. It was a historical town. Of course, you do have modern buildings in there, but in a small condensed area, you have a combination of the historical district, which was pretty much preserved the way it was back in the day, along with all of the residential. And so with the non-anticipation of the weather event, with it being a historical town, we had video of when the fire first started, and as a woman was talking on video, literally within 2 minutes, the fire had jumped 4 houses.
Gosh.
So that gives you an idea of the intensity and the speed of which this fire moved.
It does indeed. I mean, there's some politicians, though, who are saying that there are serious questions that need to be addressed. The State Attorney General is conducting a comprehensive review into how the response went to this, and the Representative Jill Tokuda of Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District told the BBC exactly that serious questions do need to be addressed. Of course, right now, the focus is on rescue and recovery, but presumably these questions are not going to go away.
No, and they shouldn't. Because these are important questions that need to be answered as we move forward, so that way we do not repeat history again, so that way we rebuild better than what it was before. Lahaina was really a lovely town because of its throwback and its art and its music and its culture, but that also made it dangerous conditions which nobody had foreseen in the past.
And in terms of rebuilding Lahaina, I know, again, this is something that's very much in the future, but I was already reading about concerns about how it would be rebuilt. Presumably those are the kind of, Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to restore the heritage, but you also want to make it safe enough for this not to happen again. I mean, that's obviously something that people will have to consider.
It is. And I don't think that the same mistake will be made twice. So there's going to have to be a lot of public input about how we bring back and feature what Lahaina used to be, because it was once the capital of the Hawaiian Islands, as I had mentioned. But for those visitors that are leaving the islands and that had been there for the week prior to the fires and had taken pictures because they had meals and listened to music down in Lahaina town, they take with them the memories of a place that will never be like that again.
Billy, thank you very much for talking to us. That's Billy V, a reporter for Hawaii News Now in Honolulu.